Good morning, Year 9. I hope you're well and having a lovely day. Please do complete the following do now. Who do you think was the lamb in the Lamb to the Slaughter story? Explain your answer in detail. Pause the video for 5 minutes to answer this now. Okay, so it could be Mary, because of her innocence and because she did not know her husband was going to leave her. It could be Patrick, because he could not have anticipated his wife would kill him. Or it could be the lamb itself that she used to murder him, which was of course murdered before it became food. So it could be any of those answers. Jot down any answers that you didn't get. Okay, please could you write the title, Lamb to the Slaughter, along with the date. And then after you've done that, I would like you to answer these questions. How does Mary Maloney fit the image of a stereotypical 1950s housewife? Make a list of all the things Mary Maloney does to welcome her husband home. 2. How does Mary Maloney feel about her husband? Find 3 different pieces of evidence from the text to support your answer. I'm going to give you 10 minutes, so pause the video now and spend 10 minutes answering those questions. Okay, so in response to question 1, she's cleaned and heated the house. She has prepared the drinks. She greets him as he comes in, and she hangs his coat in the closet. She offers to get him another drink and to fetch him his slippers. And for number 2, she adores him. For her, this was always a blissful time of day. She loved to luxuriate in the presence of this man. She loved him for the way he sat loosely in his chair, and so on. So make sure you've got those answers written down in your book. So next, I would like you to look at your knowledge organiser, which has been attached to this lesson. I would like you to match a structural term to each of the pictures on the left. So pause the video for a couple of minutes to do that now. Okay, so the top one is meant to represent foreshadowing. As you may know, this is a hint or a warning that something bad is going to happen in the future. And then the bottom one is pathos, which is where you feel bad for a character. So if you didn't get them, please jot them down. I would now like you to look at the section of the story beginning, "Darling, shall I get your slippers?" to, "I hope you won't blame me too much." So 1. I would like you to underline or highlight the parts of the text which make you think Mr. Maloney has some bad news for Mrs. Maloney. What technique is this? 2. Highlight or underline the parts of the text that make us feel sorry for Mrs. Maloney. What technique is this? And 3. How does the use of these techniques create a sense of unease for the reader? Pause the video for 5 to 10 minutes in order to answer these questions. Okay, so we've got foreshadowing, which indicates that something bad is going to happen, and we've got pathos as well. So what's highlighted in yellow is foreshadowing. No, he didn't answer. She heard the ice cubes clinking against the side of the glass. No, he said, it's a repetition of no. But he made no signs, he was not responding. I don't want it, he said. So he acts in a kind of rude, standoffish, aloof kind of manner. In terms of the pathos, she bent her head again. Her eyes waited on him for an answer. A smile, a little nod, so she's expectant. And then also she moved uneasily in her chair, the large eyes still watching her face. So those are examples of pathos. And then more foreshadowing. Sit down, he said. Just for a minute, sit down. Go on, he said, sit down. So you've got a repetition of sit down, indicating something bad could happen. Got a frowning. Listen, he said, I've got something to tell you. He had now become absolutely motionless, creating a sense of unease in the reader. There was a little muscle moving near the corner of his left eye. This is going to be a shock to you. I hope you won't blame me too much. So these are all examples of foreshadowing, hints to the audience that something bad is going to happen, thereby building up a sense of suspense and anticipation and also unease in the reader. And more examples of pathos. She began to get frightened, so we feel sorry for her. She lowered herself back slowly into the chair, watching him with those large, bewildered eyes. So bewildered means confused. She doesn't know what's going on. Again, creating this sense of we feel emotionally supportive towards her. So this is a suggested answer. The foreshadowing creates tension as we realise something bad is going to happen. The pathos makes us feel sorry for and protective over Mary Maloney, as we think of her as innocent and vulnerable. The use of both creates unease, as we don't want something awful to happen to a character we have begun to feel sympathy for. So do make sure you've noted that down. Okay, Dahl intentionally leaves out the most important conversation between Mr. and Mrs. Maloney. Why does he do this, and what effect does it have? Pause the video for a couple of minutes to answer this question. So he does this to create a sense of intrigue and suspense, and to allow the reader to imagine the conversation for themselves. What do you think the conversation says? What I'd like you to do is write out the conversation starting from line 78. I hope you won't blame me too much. So I'd like you to do that now, please. Pause the video for 15 minutes and write out the conversation. And that brings us to the end of Land of the Slaughter for today. So we've got one more lesson on this short story, and then we'll be moving on to something else. So I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson. I look forward to reading your work, and have a lovely rest of your day. I'll speak to you next time.